رحمن يا رحيم.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, our second last interview for the morning. It's an important one. That is why we've squeezed Ashraf Patel in to talk about this important issue. It has to do with the Argentina election. What's next after Javier Milei's victory? And just to give you a heads up, Ashraf Patel is no stranger to Salam Media. He's on the show on a regular basis. And he is, in fact, the Senior Research Fellow at Institute for Global Dialogue. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, Julian listeners. Hope you all.
Okay, we're having a bit of a problem with the network, and we know it's because of being in stage 4 of load shedding. Can you hear me, Ashraf? You can. Okay,
Yes, yes.
can you, right. Can you tell us about Argentina's election, please?
Well, Julie, it's interesting for a number of reasons. If you saw the news, the victory of Javier Milei follows a playbook very similar to the Trumpian populist model of these mini-me's, leaders in Latin America that follow a fairly populist playbook, very similar to Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil in the last term. So you are getting a kind of backlash from a very populist kind of right movements against the establishment. And I think this election talks to that kind of push, coming mainly from the middle class, the more property class, those classes that want a system that's more aligned to the US, but to the very kind of right wing values, populist values that emerge within the US system. Yes. So it is quite an interesting development.
When you look at Milei, he was a television talking head not too long ago, a couple of years ago. Um, how do you think he's going to fit into his current role?
Well, look, populism feeds off people that are quite popular. So if you look at, for instance, in Ukraine, you had Zelensky, who basically came from the theater or from the movies, the comedy movies, but they get into politics based on a lot of what is called social media analytics, and this is where they kind of backers would look at different demographics, different LSMs. They look at the popularity of certain influential people in society, and then you get a huge push to say, okay, let us get such people into new movements, new political parties to challenge the establishment. So this is a very interesting playbook. Obviously, Donald Trump pioneered that kind of politics in the US, but it does have two effects. The first is it is shock therapy, and if you look at essentially what's going to happen with the Millei's policies, he's described economically as libertarian capitalism or anarcho capitalism. And this is a very extreme form of capitalism where there is little or very no role for the state. He's going to cut back on social grants. He wants to end the peso, the Argentine peso, and he also wants to take new kinds of measures to move Argentina away from the Latin American community more towards the ambit of, let's say, the US. So this is a very kind of extreme politics, and it is a wave that is riding on. So it is an interesting dynamic that's playing itself out.
It is quite surprising that with the type of policies that he's been punting around, that he's actually won the election. What I found very, very shocking is that He has raised the possibility of allowing people to sell their own vital organs. Now, we know that that is an illicit trade. In India, for example, the poorest of the poor have no other option but to sell their kidneys, for example, where there seems to be a huge demand for the kidney tray in the Mid-Eastern market. And he is wanting to legalize this trade. Do you think people are going to put up with this type of governance for a long time? We have lost Ashraf Patel. Just at the heart of the matter, I think we're going to have to leave it there. I do apologize for that, but we will have him again on future shows. Let's take a short break and then we'll be joined by my colleague Inayat Wadi.